boop, 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 boop. I have to shut it off on the YouTube side. What is happening? It is Wednesday night live time. Sorry about that. I always forget to shut the thing off
Such
on the YouTube
professionalism
side.
here on the Wednesday night show.
Everybody's all focusing out, in and out. Well, get focused. Focus, Tim. Focus.
Fucking
Pay
amateur
attention.
hour.
For the record, Curtis, we're not fucking late, bro. Your clock is fast.
Yeah.
You
need
change your
to
clock,
readjust
man.
it.
Yeah,
We
fix your
go
clock,
by-
dude.
What is the standard? Geneva time or something like that? What is it?
I don't know.
Fucking know.
I like to think a standard is wherever the fuck I live.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
it's like Central Time
Yeah.
is standard for me now.
That's it.
I'm good with that.
I'll take it. You know, the best time zone, of course, is the Pacific.
It is not.
Hard pass on that, sir.
Welcome everybody out there to Wednesday Night Live. We got a full show for you guys tonight. Tim and Tom are here, and our guest tonight is Matthew Salter. He is going to be joining us, and he's going to give us a refresher course on who he is, because he hasn't been on the show in a while. So we want everybody to get to know who you are and what you do for the industry and the community. And let's start with the guy up top that loves to dunk his Oreos in bags of milk. Tom, how you doing?
Pretty good. And it took you way longer than it should have to spit that out, man. What the
I had to
hell?
explain that to my wife earlier at Walmart when I was going through the show post. I was like, so he must get Canadian milk because he's got bagged milk.
No, you can get bagged milk up here in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
It's
Well, you're
easy to
close
find.
enough to Canada.
They throw it over the
Yeah.
wall, Matthew. They,
Yeah.
It's to keep
There's
us
no,
out.
there's no wall up
It's just
here,
COVID midway, though, so I got to be careful.
right? It gets rejected.
yeah.
I am doing swell. I've had a pretty good week. Some good, some bad. Not going to get into the bad because nobody's business but my own. Good morning to Tho, and hi everybody in chat. Hello, Matthew, Tim, John.
Hello, Thomas.
Oh, please don't do that.
Thomas is when you're in trouble, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that when your mom said, "Could you, Thomas?"
No, I knew I was really bad when she used all three names.
And let's just call him the rock star of advocacy, Mr. Tim. How you doing?
Rockstar of advocacy. I don't know if I want that title.
It's
Oh,
That
yours
sounds
now.
like I have to sustain something.
Yeah.
No, I'll hold it up. I'll hold it up for as long as I can go. But tonight, I'm going to ask for everyone's. I just want to take a moment. It's going to get real serious here, real quick,
Uh-oh.
and I'm just going to ask a little bit from the entire chat and everyone here on the panel. I have something to announce, and I'm just going to ask for everyone's kindness and respect in this moment. So
Are
don't
you
get
pregnant?
I feel pregnant. It was that extra burger at Burger King that did it, and I'm pretty sure I'm 8 months right now. So, at this point in the show, I'm going to ask for a moment of silence from everyone. I had a death today,
Uh-oh.
death in the family.
Oh,
One of my fantastic Galeese S30
You too.
batteries. The cell bit it and died. So unfortunately, we will have a burial at desk tonight. So I will ask for a moment of silence for the Galeese S30. Everyone, it was a nice ride. You vaped well, and you were consistent. And I thank you for your time.
what is up? I'm gonna have to talk
Thank
to
you.
the boys at Galeese. I'm having to say,
Okay.
I got two dead ones.
I don't know what to do. That was a dead cell. I was like, what the hell is going on today? I had R.I.P. to the Galeese.
Yep.
It had held up fantastically for the year and a half that I think I had it. But and I guess there's a positive side to everything, right? So even though the Galeese only made it about a year and a half, I just want everyone to remember that a hamster makes it about 3 years. So, hamsters go hamsters. Hamsters got a lot more in them than the Galeses. That's not to say that the Galeese is a bad battery. It's actually a really great battery, and I like it because it has a really sleek little black battery wrap on it.
A tough
which-
battery
so-
wrap. I
so
think
what
a
you're
lot
saying
better battery wrap than most.
Yeah.
I think.
Is Tim, what you're saying is we need hamster-powered vape mods.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. We little mini wheels inside of them with window, so you can see them running. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Window.
Yeah, that'd be really
Well,
cool. And
I
so
mean-
and LEDs because
course,
you got
right,
you got to
for the
snazzy it
LEDs.
up. You got to
have
snazzy it up.
RGB.
Right. Exactly.
Oh,
So anyway,
Matthew, you
thank
think
you
we can get
everyone.
on
I
that?
appreciate your condolences.
Yeah.
Don't cry. Just send money. Thanks.
the post RIP S30 and the S35. Both my S35s took a dump at the same time. What are the odds? What are the odds that happened?
I had one of my mola cells do that. I just looked at it and went, all right, fuck you.
And joining us tonight, Matthew Salter. Matthew, how is your week going?
It's very interesting. I'm finally closing on my house here in Florida. It's been a long 9-month process.
Yeah.
Hidden mortgages from the buyer and electrical issues galore, but we're getting there. It's been a fun and exciting week in the world of vaping in terms of the FDA.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, though, like you said, my name is Matthew Salter. I own Vape Rescue Compliance Solutions. Yes, I modeled that after John Taffer's Bar Rescue because I love that show and that
Do you
man.
yell at people?
It's a
I
great
do
show.
actually. That's part of the working point in my contract is I will yell at you. I will tell you what you're doing wrong, and you will fix it, or I quit. But no, what I do compliance and consulting work. So basically, I am the bridge between manufacturers of e-liquid and hardware to the FDA, to the various states' governments. I do federal and state licensing for them. I make sure they're in compliance tax-wise. I make sure they're in compliance license. I mean, I do it all, realistically. I've vetted conventions. You name it, I've done it for compliance in this industry.
I got the link to his Facebook page, guys. If you want to go over there and check that out, it is right there. It's in the chat. I put it in, I think, in all of the chats now. It should be on there. Hey, look at this guy. What a good-looking guy right there. This is Matthew's page. If you want to go check out and learn a little bit more about what Matthew does, head on over there and hit the like button. Hit the like button, right, Matthew?
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
hit
watching that like button go off.
Light it up. Send him a message. Whatever you got to do.
Actually, I think if you like it, it turns it off. Doesn't it?
If you already liked it, yeah.
On our end, yes.
I think.
I mean, I work
great.
the same way. If you like me, I'm pretty turned off too. So.
Oh man. Oh yeah, no. It has been a pretty crazy week for the industry. We had somebody. I don't like saying the word sneaked in, but they got in. Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw our first FDA-approved vape device come through finally. The Views Solo. Now, not many people are going to remember what that lovely little device is, considering it's about 8 years old. But it is the Sig-alike from Views, and their tobacco flavor got through. And it's kind of funny because they had an original number 1 and original number 2, both tobacco flavors. And the FDA said, we've issued marketing denials for each and every one of their flavored products that they put a PMTA through for, but we're still looking at the menthol and deciding on that.
Yeah, menthol's dead, right? Menthol's dead.
Yes and no. I mean, you got to understand, if they really do ban menthols like the ants want them to, you are going to see riots in the streets like you have never seen before. And it goes far beyond just vaping. I mean, they're talking about banning menthol cigarettes, menthol cigars.
Yeah.
And that ain't going to go over well with a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have not. Has anyone bothered to even look and see how things are going in DC? They did pass a menthol ban in DC.
Yeah.
Yeah, DC banned menthol. You got a couple localities out in California that did it.
Yep.
It doesn't go too well for them because literally all these people have to do is drive across the county line. And some of us, that's 5 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
And they can purchase all the mentholated or flavored products they want to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's not surprising that they got through. They've been around for a long time. We talked before the show does. I'm sure Blue is in the same boat, and so is Juul. I mean, Blue's, like I said, Blue's been around a long time. Most of us started. They've always had clean advertising. They always had clean product placement and clean packaging. So I don't think they're going to have any issues themselves getting through. Juul, on the other hand, I'm not too sure about it. They'll get through, like we talked about, but
I can't
absolutely
wait to
think
watch
they'll
the
get
parents
through.
against vaping
God.
tweets as soon as Juul gets through.
We've already seen all the ants groups like PAVE and I mean Congressman Krishna Rasmurthy or whatever the Raja Krishna Rasmurthy, I can't even pronounce the name.
Yeah.
They've already been raging at the fact that views got through,
Yeah.
right? And their narrative quickly changed because before it was, oh, you know, the flavors attract the kids, the flavors attract the kids. Well, they put a tobacco flavor through, and next thing you know, it's the nicotine attracts the kids, and it's like you pick one argument, pick one hill to die on. You're failing already,
Yeah.
and I can only imagine the riots that will occur if Juul gets approved. I mean, they're going to get approved hands down.
Yeah.
All of these guys enjoy. They're not big tobacco, but they are, so to speak.
Yeah, right.
But Views, Blue, they're all going to get approved, and it's going to be absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. There was an article. I don't know if Tim, if you brought up the article back. It was back in August 9th when the FDA hammered JD Nova.
Yeah, I did. I had that one. It's probably in my vault. Did you pull it up again?
Yeah, I pulled it up again for today.
Yeah, we talked about it. They were one of the ones that got an early on MDO. Are you talking about them? Yeah, you're talking about the Zigzag company, CBD Zigzag company. Yeah, but they're back in the race. They filed a lawsuit, and then the FDA somehow changed their tune and like I don't know if they apologized, but basically said, okay, well, we're going to put you back in under review. So they pulled their lawsuit.
So yeah, what happened with that was Turning Point Brands comes out and they say, nah, you guys fucked up pretty bad. And they had not only filed a lawsuit, but they filed an emergency injunction against the marketing denial order. They said, we have the studies that you cited us for not having. Yeah. And that one thing we know for certain now after all these MDOs have come out is the FDA didn't go through their process of actual scientific review that they were supposed to. I'm actually embroiled with the FDA right now. I'm awaiting answers as to what their specific criteria was when going through the applications. But they said they didn't go through any of the applications. They didn't look any of the science provided. I mean, these companies, especially companies I did, we gave them millions of pages of studies, peer-reviewed science, testing that was done on each proprietary product. And Turning Point goes, we have that exact study you asked for, so you need to go back and look, or we're going to sue you. And the FDA magically, within less than 48 hours, is like, oh, you're absolutely right. There it was. We totally missed it. We're going to put you back under review if you drop your lawsuit. Mm-hmm. What the FDA doesn't want to tell everybody is that there's right now, I think, 17 other lawsuits across the United States that are going on, with more being filed every day.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Well, it's like they just rubber stamped all these companies with MDOs.
Yeah. That's actually what they did. They told me during the process of review of the application, if a company had listed a flavor or a characterizing flavor other than menthol or tobacco, it was immediately denied.
And then when you got one company with all these PMTA submissions at one time, why not just try to kill off one big chunk of it and get rid of 4.5 million of them? Juice heads. You are juice head, Tom. You are juice head.
Curtis was asking what I was vaping.
Yeah, no, that I wanted to bring back up that story because Tim did bring up the story about the lawsuits, and I wanted to talk to you about if you had to run into that issue yet at all with any of the companies you represent. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I filed 23 PMTA applications. Right now, 19 are sitting at MDO status. 5 of them, 2 of them are large foreign manufacturers of devices. There's been no movement on hardware whatsoever with the FDA. I mean, all along the processes that we've had to do over the last 6 years, the FDA has really largely left devices out of the realm of enforcement, out of the realm of questioning, out of the realm of even registering. So they're going to be the last in line. I have 3 companies right now that are e-liquid companies. Most notably Savage e-liquid, one of the biggest companies in the United States. They have not yet received an MDO. Not going to lie. We're expecting one. We've been expecting one since day one of MDOs because we've seen the writing on the wall that they were just blanket denying everyone. But we really went the distance with our application. We did all of the testing that was asked for us. We provided all the studies that were asked for us. So right now it's kind of a nail biter in that scenario for me. It's like every day I wake up, my 2 feet hit the floor and I go, is today going to be the day?
Check my email.
At the end of the day, I'm like, nope, it's not the day. And the FDA, I talk to the FDA 3-4 times a week. They call me for one reason or another. And so every day I'm sure as shit it's going to be the day, but nope.
So
Not
that's
yet.
kind of a good thing. I mean, they're contacting you guys. You think they're doing the same for others? You think they're putting in the effort?
Yes and no. I mean, when I did all the applications or whenever I do anything for a client to the FDA, I always include a cover sheet that has my personal contact information and says, I'm the person who filed this on behalf of so and so. If you have any questions, contact me. Not just that, for the last 3 years, I've pretty much been on the phone with the FDA every single day. I'm on the first name basis with a few of the main customer service people over there. They very well know who I am. So I don't want to say I get shown favoritism, but
No.
they usually pick up the phone when I call, or they're willing to answer me within like 24 hours.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I hopefully they're doing the same for everyone else. And I don't know. I did supposedly they hired some more people to take care of these things. So
Yep,
hopefully
they have a bunch of third parties that do inspections, and then now they're actually doing inspections themselves, which is really interesting. They're doing mostly the follow up to the MDOs, and they actually haven't been calling everyone. There were at least 10 companies that I know of that didn't realize they got an MDO until they saw their name on that list.
Oh wow!
So the FDA never called them to say, "Hey, look, yeah, by the way, we're not accepting your products."
That's not fucking cool.
No.
On these third party though, that's the thing that scares me. Who are they disclosing who these third parties are that are doing it? Are they affiliated with certain companies, certain groups?
Nope, they're usually just audit teams. There's a lot of companies across the United States that do audits for grocery stores or pharmacies.
Right.
And they've offered their services to the FDA. They do bids like every other contractor. And basically their job is they go in with this sheet of paper from the FDA. And usually it's like a compliance check. Do you have the warnings on your bottles? Are you selling kid-friendly packaging? Are you selling any products that are illegal? Things of that nature. But the more recent inspections we've seen are actual FDA enforcement officers who are going out and trying to almost entrap manufacturers. If they get an MDO a week later, the FDA is knocking on the door and they're like, hey, can you make us a bottle of e-liquid? And what they want you to do is they want you to make a bottle of e-liquid that's currently under MDO, because then they can send you a warning letter with a fine. And what a lot of manufacturers are doing, because they're smart and not smart at the same time, is they're like, sorry, we make TFN now. We use TFN. We stopped because you told us to, but now we're using tobacco-free nicotine. Therefore, you don't have jurisdiction. And they're like, oh, well, you're absolutely correct. So, and they try and get people to sign affidavits stating that they'll never manufacture e-liquids again. And they're literally trying to entrap manufacturers right now. It's hilarious.
It's like, who was it that posted that, Tim? That letter? It was
what letter?
Where they were sending out letters for people to sign or going to...
That was Allison that posted something. It was on Twitter. Allison posted it. A couple other people posted it and said that they were getting visits from ATF or some government representative that was asking them to sign a waiver or something like that, and they were asking for a copy of it and weren't signing anything. They were like, thanks for the paper, but you can leave now.
That's exactly what I've told everyone to do. Take the paper, thank them for their time, ask them politely to leave.
Right.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah, pretty much. I wait until they show up in Montana with where the shop owners up there, they don't play. They answer their vape shop doors with AKs. Like, they do not play up in Montana. It's going to be a bad day when the FDA visits them.
They go shopping with the AK-47.
Yeah, they do.
I know Tom's got a question he's dying to ask you.
And it's completely unrelated to vaping.
Yeah.
It 100% is. What the hell possessed you to put pork in a pumpkin?
So, I don't know if you can see, it's slightly off camera. I am as basic bitch as they come. I love everything pumpkin spice. I start every day off with a nice 32-ounce Dunkin' Donuts pumpkin spice latte iced. I have the cookies, the cakes, the cereals, the creamers, you name it, I got it. So I thought it would be really cool because I love pulled pork. I do a lot of meat smoking. It's kind of my zen hobby when I'm not, trying to save the vape industry. And I was like, I wonder if I can kind of smash the two up a little bit. So I did about a 7-pound pork butt, smoked it for about 6 hours, low and slow, 250. And then I hollowed out the pumpkin, cleaned it out and everything. And I put the pulled pork in the pumpkin for the final 6 hours of smoke time. And, dude, let me tell you something. That pumpkin was absolutely delicious. It transferred all the flavor over to the pork. It
infused that meat, huh?
The pork dripped down and infused the pumpkin with all that delicious pork flavor and the nice sweet. I did like a honey bourbon rub. Oh my God, was it ever delicious? And literally, I just ate the internals of the pumpkin like a side dish, and it was absolutely amazing.
Oh wow! Hey, that
Pulled
may be a
pork
new
with a side of pumpkin.
Pumpkin spice pulled pork, baby.
Never,
Well, it wouldn't really be pumpkin spice because you didn't have any of the traditional.
Oh no, I
spice in
seasoned
there,
it with
did you?
pumpkin spice first.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There was pumpkin spice, there was some honey, there was some bourbon, there was tons of cracked black pepper and Himalayan pink salt, and
Okay.
yeah.
it may be a future vape flavor coming.
Oh, dude. Actually, there used to be one. R.D. Smith used to have one called Hallowed Bean. And everybody in the entirety of the industry fucking hated it. I was like the #1 national purchaser of Hallowed Bean for like 3 years running until he discontinued it. It was just absolutely delicious.
Look at that. Morgan said she'd try it.
Timmy.
Yeah, I'm here. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm still a little somber over the Galisi, but go ahead. So anyway,
Have a pumpkin spice latte, you'll be fine.
it's been a very heavy day. You know, I've had to walk around, keep my head up, but
A lot of
go
morning.
ahead. Yeah, I'll get over it. I'll survive. I got Mala cells in the tank, so I'm
There
good.
you go. They'll last about 6 months. You got a question for Matthew?
I did. So given the parameters around views and the fact that it actually did get the it's an NGO. Am I correct? Is it an MGO or an NGO?
It's a MGO, Marketing Granted Order.
Okay, so for the peanut gallery, who's trying to pass classes and figure out what DIY means, that does not mean that they're fully FDA approved. That just means that they can continue to market their products as they continue to go through the review process. Correct.
So the FDA doesn't ever put their stamp of approval on any product. Doesn't matter whether it's a drug, a cosmetic, a food, or anything like that. The FDA simply says, you know what? You've proven to us that this isn't going to kill people now.
Right.
So we're going to allow you to remain on the market. And that's kind of where the funny scenario of harm reduction comes into the FDA is, how many drugs do we know? Chantix in particular, we know makes people kill themselves and gives them terrible nightmares and horrible side effects, but it's FDA approved, So it's like we're trying to obtain this status with the FDA that really goes against their core values. But yeah, it doesn't mean that the FDA is going to start throwing it up at hospitals and they're going to start promoting it everywhere. It just means Views gets to stay on the market, and there is a lot of back-end work that's now going to go into that called post-marketing reports and requirements. And that's actually the biggest win out of this whole thing is we've gotten to see what that back end of obtaining the MGO looks like. So now we can properly prepare for that in case we can ever get an open source product through.
So,
we know what they're going to want to see every 4 years or 6 years or 8 years. And
okay. So then I have multiple follow-ups to that.
Okay.
So then given that situation, does that mean that there is in effect a precedent set, right? So what does that mean for other companies that got MDOs, and will you be able to refile only on the premise of a tobacco flavor, and we can't push the other flavors back through?
Yes. So basically, what the FDA originally sought out to do with the MDOs is they were just going to get rid of all of the flavored products, and they were supposed to leave menthol and tobacco flavors alone. So if you're a company who didn't have a menthol or tobacco or didn't submit one, you're beat. If you did happen to file a tobacco or menthol, those particular products are still in play. They won't ever release a list to the public, and they won't ever say that publicly, but they're still in play. Now, what flavor manufacturers can do, or companies that just have flavored products can do, is you can refile PMTAs until you're blue in the face. To file an actual PMTA, there's no actual fee to file. Anybody can create a PMTA. There's no guidelines other than a few, like 10 bulletin points, and anybody can file a PMTA for any given point in time. So that's what a lot of companies are doing. They're swapping to TFN in the temporary to keep the profits rolling in the door, to fund the studies that the FDA cited as we're missing, just to refile those products again to try and prove that they're appropriate for the protection of public health.
Okay, that makes sense. And then my last question is this: for now, are you surprised that even though it's only views right now, I think that we all kind of collectively agree that Blue will probably make it through, Enjoy will probably make it through, Juul will most certainly make it through, even though they're the demon. They're the demon in all of this, right? Are you surprised that it's the high milligram nic salts that are sort of getting the nod, and they balk at the real low level nicotine concentrations?
Yes and no, and this will take us down the rabbit hole. I dare say conspiracy theorists, but even conspiracy theorists have been right for the last year. So they most certainly want people to smoke. They most certainly want people addicted to nicotine because we know about the MSA with cigarettes. A few months ago, Congress floated the idea, and it's been talked about a lot more increasingly, about an MSA 2.0, where particular vaping products are met with an MSA-style payment structure in the form of user fees to the FDA. So the FDA isn't government funded. It's not, your tax dollars don't pay the FDA. Tobacco companies do. They pay these user fees to the FDA, and that's how they stay in business. And it's all done by market share. So companies like Marlboro and Philip Morris, they each pay an equal piece of the pie. However, what that means for us is companies like Juul, who had the largest market share, and I'll get to that point in a second, they would be paying a majority of those user fees. And if we were allowed to live the open source industry, we would be paying teeny tiny little fractions. We're talking a couple $100 a year if we're lucky. Right. So they frankly don't give a shit about us because they are not getting very much money out of us. Now, on the flip side of that, let's talk about the National Youth Tobacco Survey that just released literally 1 week before Views gets approved.
Yeah.
Juul is no longer the demon child to the ants and to the government. It's Puff Bar, it's disposables, it's these guys.
Yep. Yeah.
Because the National Youth Tobacco Survey showed 85% of youth are using these now.
Right.
So it really took the monkey off Juul's back, which is owned by Altria. 35% is owned by Altria. I believe it's more than that, but and it was put on to people like Puff Bar, who, technically speaking, is already illegal. There is an active disposable flavor ban on the market right today. And it's been that way for about the last year. Nobody gives a shit. Disposables are the cockroaches of the industry. You can nuke them all you want. They're still going to come back.
Yep.
But taking that monkey off the back shows us it's not about the flavors or about Juul. Right. And they really don't give a shit about nicotine, because the higher the nicotine, the more addicted we are. They give a shitty cig-alikes that are approved by the FDA. What do you think? And actually, this is right in the PMTA, or right in the approval letter from the FDA. 3.9 out of 10 users were able to quit using a Views, while 6.9% out of 10 had a likelihood of going back to smoking immediately.
Okay.
So that tells us Views doesn't convert smokers. Views sucks at what it's intended to do. So really all they did was approve this to say, well, we approved a vape product, or we're going to approve Juul or whatever because it's a vape product. We don't give a shit about how much nicotine it is, because 9 out of 10 of you, or 6 out of 10 of you, are going to go back to smoking. And we're going to get our money from the MSA. And those of you who do actually manage to switch and quit, we're going to get our money through the MSA that way.
Yep.
Right.
Well, what it all boils down to is they don't give a fuck about us. They just want our money.
They want money.
Exactly.
Man. They want that money coming in.
Mallory just made a really funny point, because I was questioning the math on that.
Yeah.
So she said the Views they approved is 49 milligram. So they said on the packaging it says 48 milligram. But if you look at the actual application, you can view some of the PMTA and the approval letter on the FDA website. It says that it contains 59.4% milligrams per milliliter. Now, a Views pod is 0.5 milliliters, so it's half a milliliter.
Yeah.
That would mean it only has 28 milligrams of nicotine, but they're marketing it as 48, but the whole thing has 57, and it's like Common Core math. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Common Core math. Vapors can't do Common Core math.
Yeah. Nobody can do Common Core math. Common Core math can't do Common Core math.
We don't. Yeah.
It was funny because my grandson was doing it, and I did it my way, the way I grew up doing it. And he goes, "Why aren't we doing it this way?" No. I started laughing. I go, "I don't know what to tell you, buddy."
I write notes to my kids' teachers like, "Tell me I'm wrong."
His eyes lit up. It's like he saw magic, He was just like, that is so much easier.
They make it so complicated. It's ridiculous. It's like, why do I got to draw like number trees and shit? Like, Like, why can't I use the nines trick with my hand and shit? Like, come on.
One of the things I noticed with you're in my news feed all the time. So one of the things I noticed,
Always post.
Yeah,
I never
it's
stop
all
posting.
good. It's all good. I noticed you posting a lot of stuff, anti stuff that's out there, especially scientific studies and stuff like that. That's what kind of drew me to bringing you in today, is because I was seeing all those, and I started sitting back trying to think, how do we combat that? And not just the industry itself, but consumers themselves. I mean, I know the industry their hands are tied. They really can't go out and publicly, fight these lab statistics and bullshit that's out there. But as far as us, what do you think we should be doing? I mean, other than getting out of our circle, we need to get out of our circle.
The biggest thing right now consumers can do is, even though technically speaking all these products are illegal, because technically speaking all these products have been illegal for the last 2 years, is continue to support e-liquid companies. I mean, don't stop ordering. Just because the PACT Act is going on, you can find e-liquid manufacturers willing to ship to you. Okay. Support your local vape shop, certainly, because obviously they're purchasing the e-liquid from the manufacturer. And really what you can do is just, you can help them financially be able to do the studies that need to be done to take them back to the FDA. And science is on our side 110%. And I have begged politicians to debate me, whether open or closed forum. Like, I will literally just send you one email PDF to shut you the fuck up. But the trick is getting them to read it. And that's what the FDA didn't do. The FDA didn't read anything. So the biggest thing consumers can do, A, continue to support e-liquid manufacturers while they go through this. B, get loud on Twitter. Twitter's insane. Twitter gives the average Joe Schmo such a large reach and big voice. And just spend 5 minutes in Google how to expand your reach on Twitter. Like, putting a period before you at somebody tags all of their followers. So now not only are you tagging that singular person, you're tagging everybody who follows them. And they're seeing that. It'll pop up in their feed. It's how to beat the algorithm. You tweet your congressman, and you know what? Consumers can even take meetings with their congressional members or their local members, and that can make a massive impact. All you got to do is educate them. Hey, I'm 48 years old and I had a 3-pack-a-day habit and I quit by vaping flavored products. And if flavored products are banned, then I'm going back to smoking and I'm going to die an early death and not be able to play with my grandkids. And you're going to lose X amount of tax revenue.
Who's the nutbag again with the funky name that's in the government, right? Raja
Krishnamurthy.
Okay, look, here's your mission, chat group. The people in chat that are like afraid of Twitter, and not Curtis, who got his account taken from him.
Curtis.
Yeah, it takes a lot.
Exactly. Curtis, I don't know what you did, dude. I don't know what you did. But anyway, just get it back. Whatever you got to do. Everybody, Raja Cucamonga Berries, whatever his effing name is, whatever his last name is, he came out on Twitter and basically made this statement that said that there is absolutely no significant proof. That guy right there, Congressman Raja. You can find him. Just put Congressman Raja. He'll pop up. You don't need to know that symbol.
Mallory knows him.
Yeah. So he came out and he made this statement that basically there's absolutely no evidence to prove that vaping allows people to quit smoking. You know what? Everybody here, get on Twitter, get on his tweet the F out of that guy and put your story in 140 characters or less?
140 characters.
And put your story on his friggin' wall at him and tag his butt, and you share your story with him and let him see that there are mass amounts of people that have quit smoking using vaping. And you can build a case right there and shut that guy down, because he's just throwing anything out there that he thinks will stick.
Yeah,
we have numbers on our side. We could drown him out with numbers on his wall, sharing our story. Going, I had a 2-pack-a-day habit. I quit using whatever product you used, whatever Nick strength you used, and what flavor you used, and tell him how long you've been smoke free.
And fun fact, a blue-checked politician cannot ban or silence any constituent on Twitter.
Correct.
So use that to your advantage. I mean,
they will get in trouble.
I am putting it in there right now in the chat.
There you go.
I got the link.
There you go. Thank you, Paul. Paul's quick on the keyboard there. 60 words per minute right there. That guy's a beast. He's not one fingering. He's mechanical keyboard clacking. That's what he's doing. But yeah, so dude, I mean everybody, I'm telling you, that's the guy. Start with that guy, and then and you know what? You can get out there. You can follow Matthew. You can follow myself. You can follow somebody like Lindsay Stroud or Mallory, and you can look at their follower list, and real quickly you can build your community out there full of people that are all pro vaping and all very vocal and outspoken on Twitter. And just start following all those people, and then and you'll start seeing a lot of the stuff that pops up that we tend to comment on a consistent basis.
Yeah, follow Biden while you're there too. To hit him up too.
Yeah, I can't. my finger doesn't allow that to happen.
He's got his Twitter on a speak and spell. So
yeah exactly.
What state am I in?
None of your business.
Not me, Biden.
Yeah, none of his business.
That's what he asks. That's what he asks himself every day.
The state of Adderall and Bengay to function.
That's very true. Canadian Vape 09_TCL. You made me do that, didn't you? You made that screen name just so I would do that.
I'm sure he wakes up.
No, yeah, Lindsay's great. Lindsay is a number cruncher, a data wizard. And if you want real numbers kind of stuff, she's in the weeds, dude.
Fun fact about Lindsay, she can drink any man under the table. I have personally tried and failed.
If he's following you, you should be proud of that. If a congressman goes out of his way to follow you, I'd be pretty stoked about that. But I'd make sure every day he woke up to see something that he wasn't going to be pleased to see in my feed, for sure. If he was taking the time to follow me, I'd hit him up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they follow you sometimes. I don't know if they have an ulterior motive. I don't remember the guy's name. I'll try to get it before the end of the show. But here's another twist on things. If you want to do something else on Twitter, I can't remember the lead senator from Michigan because they recently pulled their bill. They pulled their bill to ban flavored vaping in Michigan. And it was due to the lead senator actually taking a very measured approach towards and listening to the constituents in the sense that there is a net health benefit to adults using vaping to quit smoking. And at the same time, they still want to look into ways to protect the kids. But I think it's worthy when we have an opportunity, even though it's so hard sometimes. But this guy actually did the right thing. And I think it's worthy, even if you don't live in Michigan, to go and thank that senator for actually having a reasonable approach to the idea of the vaping agenda on both sides of the argument. And so I thanked him. And ironically, he followed me.
Yeah. Nice.
And I don't know if he really cares to listen.
You inspired him, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, if he's reading my tweets, he knows that I'm pretty much just screaming at everybody else.
Is he blue checked?
I don't recall.
I'd say if he's blue checked, every time you share something pro vaping, I would tag the shit out of him.
Yeah, let me go look. Look.
That's why I called you at the beginning of the show. I called you the rock star of Advocacy, man.
He's probably like, is that a man or a woman? I just got to follow him to find out. So that's
wow.
Well, if that's the case, keep him confused as long as possible.
Yeah. As far as the hardware itself with the PMTAs, when do you think they're going to get into those? And is that going to affect some of the market when they start killing some of those off?
Truth be told, I don't think they're going to kill any of them. The study that they cited all of the e-liquid companies for in the MDOs aren't really applicable to hardware. I think they're going to look at hardware more as a technological device rather than like an ends device. Because like I said, every time we thought we had to register them or do a component list or in terms of like ingredient submissions, they've come out and they said hardware is exempt from this. Don't worry about hardware. And they didn't really issue any guidelines on the PMTA, I mean, for e-liquid in general, but for hardware, period. And we had to reach out numerous times to even get a little lick of what they could possibly want with hardware.
Right, yeah.
But because it's an electronic and it doesn't really change minus the coil, 9 times out of 10, the capacity doesn't change either.
Well, I mean, as far as the disposables, though, I'm not talking about our mods. I'm talking.
Oh, okay.
About,
I thought you were talking about
yeah.
mods.
No, I'm talking
No,
about the disposables.
disposables are. They're not going to get a pass. And actually, you may remember, when was it? I want to say it was 2019 when they had released a little nugget about the PMTA, but like a little footnote, they said this flavor ban does not apply to disposable products. And that's when these things really started taking off. And I think that was a complete oversight by the FDA, because when they think of disposable, they think of Views, they think of Blue. They're always 4 generations behind current technology. So they had no idea that things like this and the Puff Bar were even hitting the market the way they are. Yeah. So they just gave them the free pass. But these things, they're never going to get FDA approval whatsoever. Especially flavored ones. You might see a tobacco get passed, you might see a menthol get passed, but you'll never see a flavored disposable get a pass.
Now, how about the ones that are going to be able to refill? Are those going to fall in that same category?
Like,
well, everything that's coming out that's new right now from Lost Vape, they're not pen shaped, but
right.
If they file a
PMTA for it, they have a shot at actually passing.
Okay.
But that's the thing. You're probably only going to be filling them legally with tobacco-flavored e-liquid if tobacco-flavored e-liquid gets through.
Yeah, that was my concern. And then the one thing that kind of I'm still trying to figure out is nothing was supposed to be manufactured after a certain date. And we all know because everything is version 5, 6, 3, 2. A lot of new gear that's come out. A lot of new RDAs are still coming out.
Everything after August 8, 2016 is an illegal product.
Right.
This entire setup.
That's illegal. Throw
Every
it away.
setup I own minus I got an RX 200.
Yeah, that's about the
only one. I got a couple
one.
Provaris over there, like
my PV4.
Yeah, those are fine technically.
Let me pull that old gear out just so I don't get arrested on the street corner for carrying a brand new device. Oh, yeah, that was the thing that was kind of, I get it, Are they going to do anything about that? Do you think that's something that I don't know what they could do, an embargo against China from sending stuff here?
That's the thing. You have to, in that regard, there's a lot more political prowess that comes into play with that because Biden loves China. Biden's not going to fuck with China's bottom line. And when e-cig products are, I think that's their number 2 or number 3 export right now. They're not going to touch it. Whereas like Curtis said, Smock, Vupu, Geek, Vape, they come out new mods each week. Now, most of them, actually all of them, filed PMTAs for particular products. Not all of their products, but they rolled the dice and they threw a product out there. We have seen some things at the ports where their customs are seizing e-cigarette shipments. But what they're looking for is disposables or counterfeit products.
Puff bars, yeah.
U.S. distributors are still able to get hardware in no problem. There's it's taking a little bit longer because of all the shipping issues out the port, and there was talk about them not allowing any e-cigarette shipments to come by air. They would only be able to come by boat.
Right. Which
you're looking at a minimum of a 30-day lead time on a shipment with that. So they can constrain hardware. I don't really think they're going to because I don't think they give a shit about hardware. And it's more technological because you can take any regulated mod and stick a flashlight attachment on it, and ta-da, it's a flashlight.
Yeah.
Or even a mech mod. There's flashlight attachments for because that's what they started as was flashlights that were modded to be vape devices.
Yeah, I was kind of curious on the hardware part of it. Reason being, there's not many left. There are still a few U.S. manufacturers out there that are mech mod design makers. And I was just wondering if they were just kind of dead in the water now with future PMTAs. I don't see TVL. I don't see who else is the other U.S. manufacturer.
I don't think TVL was American made. I know
Not
Purge
anymore.
is American made.
Are they? Did they switch to designed in California, made in China?
I want to say it was they were being made in Canada, maybe. Same thing with like Death Wish and
with that group up there.
Yeah.
Well,
Purge still makes their mods here in the U.S. 100% certain. Yeah, Death Wish closed.
Yeah.
Vapor's Cloud is still going, and I want to say I don't think they're American made. I think they're Canadian or Swedish made. Not a whole lot of mech mods coming out of China these days.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. Well, it doesn't mean we can't. I mean, what I laugh when we all, any of us that have made a mech mod, we could still go on eBay. I could still find a box. I could still find a button. I could still get the wire I need. I still could 3D print the sled for my battery. I could do all that stuff, and I it just makes me laugh. On that part of it, as far as the government is their concerns with hardware. If I figured if they can't beat us with e-liquids, they could beat us there. You know what I mean? That kind of
I mean, and that's the thing too. There's tons of American-made mods, even not mech mods, but like Def Mods is out there, and he's had FDA visits. They took one look at his hardware and said, "We don't give a shit."
Yeah.
They just wanted to make sure he wasn't mixing in his house. Which at that point in time, I was co-packing for him. So
yeah. Well,
so you're always going to be able to get mods.
Yeah. I think the what do you call it? Still, the chip manufacturer still out here in the U.S., right? Evolve is still here, right?
Yep, they're still making chips, and they won't go away either because they don't just service the vape industry; they service aerospace. Now I know they're having the great chip shortage, just like China is right now for all the vehicles and shit, but. I guess it's these little tiny electrical diodes that are hard to come by right now.
Yeah, they're all in them cargo ships that are sitting off the coast of the U.S.
Yeah, on the guy that wants to upgrade his video card but refuses to pay a used car fee for a fucking car.
I'm sitting on a 2070 right now, and I so badly want a 3080, but I ain't spending $3,000 over MSRP.
You can sell that 2070 for like $2,800 right now.
And then I can buy a 3060 and be right in the same spot.
I'm right there with you with my 2060.
Right, like it works fine. Do I want the new shiny? Of course I want the new shiny, but not for
I want those 10 extra frames per second. I want, everybody wants those extra 10 frames per second.
Oh yeah, they come in handy. Frames win games.
My new shiny is sitting out on the outside.
Yes, Complife is made in the U.S. out in California.
Yeah. Oh, is it really? I thought they were the ones that had that designed in California, manufactured in China.
So there's Complife, which I know her first name is Lindsay, and then there's her brother Eric Hutchinson,
right,
who kind of stole the company per se, and he's just a general fuck up. Yeah, he's a fucking complete douche.
Yeah.
We had our time with him in Legion and dealing with him.
Yeah. Oh, they've seen so many companies come and go. There was the group out of Tennessee that was making those custom boxes with the etching all over them. God, what was his name? I forgot the name of those boxes. They were nice. They weren't cheap.
I'm trying to think of I know who you're talking about. I'm trying to think of his name.
They could put your face on the mod. They could do all that stuff. They started it out first. I forget who they are. They ran into who? What's that, Tom?
Mad Modder.
Is it Matt? No,
they were out of Alabama.
They're out of Alabama. Yeah. There was another group that was making these custom boxes, and they were like $600-700.
Oh
yeah.
I mean, I get these from Def Mods.
Yeah,
they're completely custom made to whatever I want, and
it's an aluminum box, baby.
Nothing better than gigantic lipo mods.
Yeah. That I thought that was really going to take off, the lipo. I thought for sure I could see where it would be beneficial to some of us, but then I thought nobody's going to carry an extra lipo battery just laying around in the bag, dude, because that's just like go, buddy.
I'm that one guy.
Yeah, you are that one guy. That's the last thing I want in my pocket or in my backpack.
Got to carry around a fire safe bag with you wherever you go. And,
Oh shit! Yeah. Hey, they're built for what we do. So and then guys were just trying to max out that wattage, and which I never understood why anybody wanted to vape at 300-400 watts. I just don't get it.
I think it was when the TFVA came out. Me and my buddy were trying to do reviews, and we took those coils like the 260 watts where it said, it just tastes like burnt asshole. Like, it was not good.
Yeah.
Nobody vapes that high.
No, dude, I saw one guy at a show, and he literally put half of a 30 ml bottle in there first before he pushed that button just to be safe.
Yep.
I was like, dude, that is so wasteful. Matter of fact, I told him, I said, lucky for you work for an e-liquid company because otherwise you'd be broke.
Right? Going that high, you just want to drip straight zero, like unflavored.
Yeah, insane. Yeah. Any flavor that's going to get you that throat hit would be just insane. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in Paris, at the Vape Show. What do you think that turnout's going to be out there, especially with COVID and all that? You think they're going to have a big turnout in Paris?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to have a big turnout.
Paris is going to be huge. I know they got one going on in London at the end of the year. That's the Hall of Vape. That's going to be, that's Stuttgart, Germany. But that's going to be a massive one. That's the biggest one in the world. Man, I want to go so bad.
Yeah.
Like, they literally had, I think, 20 or 30,000 at the last event they did.
Yeah.
Just a massive sea of people vaping. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, well, I think Phil and Dimitri are out heading that way. I think they left. They're supposed to be out there in Paris, which is kind of cool. Yeah, my brother just left for Italy the other day, and it cost him $500 just in COVID shots test to get on a plane. Just to test was
That's
like
ridiculous.
$250 for each one of them just to get on the flight.
Yeah, it's like my UK partners were like, you should come out here in December and go to the show. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to get vaccinated, so I'm just going to stay in Florida.
You think I've never been to those shows out there, and I just wondering. Hopefully someone does some live stuff out there. But how's the turnout there? Is it 50-50 hardware e-liquids, or is it still e-liquid pretty much the whole show?
From what I've seen, it's e-liquid for the most part. But the nice part about international shows is they get international hardware vendors. So there's a lot of manufacturers, like mod manufacturers in Sweden and Norway,
Italy,
and things that you'll never see in the States,
yeah,
but that are completely just kind of the norm in the UK or in Germany. It's almost like you get a whole different culture side of vaping when you go to an international show.
Yeah.
Plus the different e-liquids you can try. I mean, just like we have in the US, we have a couple thousand manufacturers.
Yeah.
The UK has a couple thousand. Sweden has a couple thousand. And it's like, Sweden, I'm expecting like rich chocolatey vapes and everything. like the Swiss Miss of vaping.
E. coli.
No, Ricola.
Whatever it is.
Not E.
I knew what he meant.
coli. We
I thought he was
don't.
being
Yeah, I don't want. No, I don't want an E. coli vape. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, it's tasty. It's just and what I like about what I have seen from those shows out there in Europe, there are advocacy based. There's a lot of advocacy, and it's great to see that going on over there. Fighting for us, guys. They are fighting for us because most of these countries that are having these shows, they don't have any issues right now. They're not having it.
I mean, the US is the #1 market in the world for vaping, and our e-liquid here in the States is vastly superior to that you'll find in the rest of the world. I mean, it's hard to believe, but places like the United Arab Emirates and Dubai and all those places, massively into American-made e-liquid. I know a few manufacturers who could retire in a week just based upon what they order in those countries.
Wow.
Can I share an article while we're talking about Dubai?
Yeah,
Keep going, Matthew. Finish what you wanted to say about Dubai.
South America too. Like that's a massive vaping market that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is not on my news segment, but I saw this as I was getting ready, and maybe I'll report on it next week and go into detail. I think Matthew knows what I'm getting ready to talk about.
I think I read what you read.
Yeah, and I'm like, I saw this last minute before the show started, right before the show started on the BBC network.
Throw it out there.
Yeah, so hold on one second. All right. So Dubai, yeah, sure, they love our stuff, but check this out.
Hold on.
Let's put that through. Look at that. Football coach jailed for 25 years in Dubai for over CBD vape oil. I haven't even read the article yet. He's 24 years old. 24. Wow. And they threw it. Dude, you don't want to mess around in Dubai. I can tell you, I was trying to leave the country, and the Sultan or the king or whoever of Dubai, whatever the guy in charge, he changed a rule where you had to pay literally a fine to leave the country because a lot of us didn't fly Arab Emirates. So if we were on any other airline other than Arab Emirates, they made us pay like an overstay fee. It ended up being like like I can't remember. It was like an insane amount of dirham, which equated to about like $300 in American cash or something like that. But when you walk into an office and there's two like guards, that look like special ops dudes, and they're like 3 times your size, and then there's a little skinny, little tiny dude sitting there in traditional dress, and he's got like 3 scimitars like above his head. Like you give him whatever amount of money he wants, and then you leave the country and you thank them for their time. But I feel bad for this guy. I'd like to know more about this story. I caught it right as I was getting ready to come on the show. But can you imagine being in jail in Dubai for 25 years over some CBD?
Hopefully, the U.S. is doing something to get him out of there. They'll trade. They'll make a trade.
Yeah.
Anything
Well, anyway,
related in UK or Dubai or
He's
UAE?
British, so it'll have to go through them, not us, John.
Cannabis is even worse. They will kill you for having cannabis.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I like I said, I have to do some research on it. I mean, it's a very
I
short
love how
article.
they pull the grandma pictures out, making him look all nice and innocent with his grandma there as a little kid.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't know. It doesn't really
Yeah,
specify
I'm
what
wondering
the
if he
contents
was,
of the CBD
if
oil
it,
was.
yeah, I'm wondering if it was his personal stuff or was he trying to sell it? I mean, that'd be good to know.
It says right here he told the group he was taken to a police station and kept in an isolation cell for 14 days without any hygiene products. Mr.
Wow.
Hood claimed the oil was left by a friend who had been visiting from England 2 weeks earlier, but he claimed he was forced to sign a confession after being pressured by local law enforcement.
Yeah.
This month he was convicted by a court of drug trafficking with intent to supply.
Yeah.
So they threw him in the clink for 25 years in Dubai.
You got to be careful, man. You got to be careful.
Don't mess around.
Yeah,
Don't mess around.
I
That's all
had
I'm saying.
same. I got a phone call one night about 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and it was a friend of mine who borrowed a bag to go on a trip from my son. And when she got to the airport, she figured I'll go through it one more time, make sure I got everything in there that I need. And she put her hand down in the bag. It was an eighth of pot in there from my son. And she's like, "I could kill your son right now. You're so lucky." And this was 8-9 years ago. So I was like, "Well, if you borrow something from my son, you better check the bag."
That's crazy.
Man.
Anyway, I feel bad for the kid.
Yeah,
24.
hopefully they figure something out for him, man. That sucked.
Well, you know what? I mean, Dubai's an interesting place in the Middle East only because it's sort of like an island within, in that part of the world. So, it's very multicultural, very multinational, even though it's sort of presided by the government that they run there. So, my guess is they'll probably some stuff will happen and they'll probably get his butt out of there because
They'll pay a
I mean,
fine. Was he Canadian or American? Sam? I'm sorry.
England,
He's British.
Yeah,
British,
he's British.
but the thing about that though is that it's a very multinational area in the Middle East, and so there a lot of countries bring their money into Dubai. They're only like 40 something years old. They're not a very old place in the world as far as that's concerned, and it's the sort of like the duty free area and stuff like that. So it's not, but they just have a lot of rules, and they can change the rules at the drop of a hat, and you just don't want to mess around over there. So anyway, I'm pretty sure that he won't be in prison for 25 years.
That guy could wake up one morning and just decide, fuck it, nobody can drink water after 12 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm serious. It can be like that. It literally could be like that. One minute everything's cool, and the next minute he just on a whim.
I didn't know.
Yeah, but I was scared several times over there.
I would be. I'm always scared anytime I go anywhere. I mean, even when we went to Italy, my son was like, "Why do I need to know where the U.S. embassy is, Dad?" I said, "Look, when we got to Rome, got a hotel, the first place we went to was straight to the U.S. embassy." I said, "This is where it's at, son. If something happens, you get lost, we get separated, you go here." And you show me your passport and go in there and wait for us to find you. Oh, man. Tommy, you got another question for Matt?
Wondering how his pastor turned out.
Pastor was pretty good. So unfortunately, I went to possibly the whitest supermarket known to man to get some ingredients, and they didn't have everything I needed, so I had to modify with like some chipotle paste and instead of the achiote paste, but it turned out pretty good. Couldn't complain.
Yeah. Dinner
And I
at
didn't do
Matthew's
like the
next
vertical
week.
spit roast of it. I did it like a
Right.
pulled pork style. So
Timmy,
I don't know
yeah,
nothing about barbecue, nothing.
I just
So-
know how to eat it, right, Tim? We just know how to
I
eat
just stand there with my plate out. That's what I do. That's what I know
You
about
boys
barbecue.
are
A
missing
nap-
out
a
on
napkin.
whole.
But that's why we
another-
have guys like you, Tom.
That's right.
We have guys like you who know how to cook the stuff, and we
yeah.
are just really good at eating it.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
We're good at
Hey,
eating it
I'm
and
really
giving
good at
you
eating this
and
shit,
giving
too.
you our opinion. That's what we're good at: eating it and giving you our opinion.
there's nothing better than tending to a fire all day to stay at one temperature and watch that
Mhm.
meat just kind of slowly disintegrate into itself. And you spritz it every hour. And
No.
then at
But-
the end of it, when everybody's taking seconds and thirds, they're like, "Oh, it's so good!" You know, it's the
All
greatest
right.
feeling in the world.
Do you
No.
pick on it? Do you pick on it while you're cooking it?
No,
You don't pick on
I
it.
don't lift the hood unless I absolutely have to. I only
yeah.
lift the hood
Right.
once per hour for 30 seconds to spritz on each side, because if you open the hood, you're losing heat. That takes longer to cook, and it might not cook great. So it's very well worth it to go low and slow and wait until that end of the day.
Yeah. And I wanted to talk on Canadian Vape's comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, can you bring it up? It just shows that the war on substances continues, and people will continue to be criminalized for using products that have shown a tremendous benefit for others around the world, and that's so true. And that's the irony in all of this is that this whole asinine war on vaping, specifically here in America and Canada and stuff like that, it's getting to the point now where they're going to effectively turn extremely law-abiding people into essentially criminals, just because mass resistance, right? I mean, we're not people who vape now are, especially around this part of the internet, are not going to go back to smoking.
Yeah.
They're going to get their stuff, however they're going to get it, and it's going to feel seedy and weird, knowing that we're kind of like sneaking grape jam monster, in 3 milligram, just so we can have a satisfying vape on our RTA, and that we're like, in the same league and category as someone who's hiding in a dark alleyway somewhere, like, pumping heroin into their veins.
Yeah.
That's just how it feels to me.
I
Anyway.
can't wait to walk up to that guy on the street corner. Hey, got any grape? Got some grape? Been looking for grape all day.
Well, that's what I was joking with the guys at work, because I have a couple of it's the first time I've ever actually worked anywhere where I've worked around active vapors, and they don't know a whole lot. Like, one guy actually is a fairly experienced vapor, and the other guy's still kind of like green when it comes to his experience. But I try to transfer as much information as I can to them and let them know what's going on, because they're literally in the dark. Like, they had no idea about the PMTAs. They had no idea about the potential taxation on nicotine. They had no idea that there's a potential USPS PACT Act vape mail ban coming down the pike. I mean, like, they just kind of thought like vape shops will always be there and they'll always be able to run over and get coils for their Aegis, and I'm like, guys, I'm not telling you to be scared, but I'm just telling you to be very worried that here's things that are coming down the pipeline, and you could be severely affected. And Garrett, one of the two guys, he's a dual user, right? So he smokes and then he vapes and then he'll go back to smoke. And I don't know why, and I'm not going to ask a lot of questions, and I don't push my agenda on him at all. I mean, he's got to fight his own battle, but I encourage him as much as I can. But I feel bad because he's somebody I see as going, okay, well, I just can't get what I want. I'm just gonna smoke. I'm just gonna smoke. And that's sad, because I think if it was accessible to him, more readily available, like it is still kind of now, I think he would pick vaping back up. I think between myself and the other guy, we could get him back on the train. Dude, he's got mech mods like in his house. Like, he's talking about all this stuff he's got, and I'm like, bro, why aren't you using that? Maybe he just doesn't feel like making coils and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, it's not just us that a lot of us that are misinformed or don't know what's going on. It's what I find surprising is when I do talk to someone that doesn't care, that is not a smoker, that's not a vapor, and when I explain to them what is going on, the shock and awe on their face is just like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "For this product?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Well, and the number one thing that comes out of their mouth is, "Why aren't they doing the same thing for tobacco?" And I was like, ask yourself that question. Ask
Welcome to the
yourself.
rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just shocking to a lot. And I think that's why we really need to discuss these things with outside of our circle, outside of our community, guys. Bring it up. Let them know what's
Get
going
out
on.
of our echo chamber, because it's not
Yeah.
helping if we're all bitching about the same shit to
Yeah.
people that already know it.
Yeah. Hey,
Get
I
it
promise
outside
you.
of other vapors. Talk to
Yeah.
people. It's
Yeah.
not that scary, folks.
You will be surprised how many people will give you the same response I got because they're shocked that the FDA, that our congressmen, that our state assemblymen, that our governors and mayors are going through this battle for this product when they could be doing that same effort into tobacco and wipe out tobacco altogether. Why are they doing the same thing? And that's the first response I get from a lot of people is that shock, like, for this product? And I was like, yeah, for this product right here. They want to ban flavors. Well, I like flavors. That's the other. That's the other thing I get a lot. Well, I like the way my food tastes. I said, well, yeah. I said, can you imagine having to eat plain Cheerios for the rest of your fucking life?
Plain oatmeal and bread.
Oatmeal.
One
We'll
of
all
my
be wearing white
recent hot
t-shirts.
takes has been that this is the one good thing to come out of COVID is that more people are scrutinizing and actually looking at what the Food and Drug Administration does and is doing.
Yeah.
And I really think it'll come into play with views getting approved because with all of the ants and the FDA and these Congress people shit talking vaping so much publicly, I think them finally approving something may start to flip the script with the consumers. And the people who are diehard anti-vape, like moms across America and everything, they may finally start to look at it and be like, wait a second, the FDA just approved this, but they've been shitting on it for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Maybe they're lying about this.
Yeah. Well, I find it hard to believe that those ain't groups out there don't realize who's funding them.
Oh, they know.
So for them to even have any say into why they go ahead and accept all these PMTAs go through, it's only going to benefit them because what's eventually going to happen is they're already talking about restructuring the master settlement agreement, adding e-cigarettes to them. That's just more money for you guys, so you could go bitch about something else, So yeah, I can't wait to see how they work that out.
Which is the crazy thing because the whole industry is like, we don't care if you want to continue to be corrupt. Just let flavors exist.
Yeah.
You'll make a lot more money that way, and we'll be happy and shut up.
Yeah, we'll be happy and shut up. I mean, in the beginning, like you probably know, a lot of these companies wanted to just be left alone.
Yeah.
We have, the main statement that used to come out of a lot of these companies were we're only for chemicals. We're only for chemicals. Leave us the hell alone.
Isn't true, but
yeah. So that was the big thing. Nobody wanted to be regulated. I understand nobody wants to be regulated by the government, but a product that we are inhaling that is out in the general public, it needed to have some sort of regulations.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is if they would have sat down in the very, very beginning and tried to figure out how to go about this to make all the parties happy and accept some sort of regulations, we wouldn't be in this boat. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, actually, that's funny. I'm currently writing a brief for a lawsuit that's going on, and I said those exact words. Half this industry fought against any form of regulation, period, and the other half said this will legitimize us and make us an actual business in the state's eyes. So a lot of us welcomed regulations, and the rest of them just like fucking miss me with that. But then again, it was also the wild, wild west of vaping in those days.
Yeah, we had the bathtub juice. We had guys, selling e-liquid on Facebook, on
Midget
Twitter,
strippers at vape conventions. Yeah, I mean,
Snapchat. Oh, and you always had each one of them had like this little pack of people. It might have been like 5 or 10 of them, but they just hammered it. It's like, that's the best shit in the world, blah,
Oh
blah,
yeah.
blah. It's the greatest stuff in the world. And then 6 months later, all of a sudden exposed. Pictures came out of what the lab looked like in their house, and you know,
They had a bathroom attached to the lab. I mean, you can
yeah,
still Google it and find it.
yeah. Oh, but
That was
yeah, I
actually my
mean,
first foray into vaping. Really, was after
yeah.
like during that whole thing.
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with a lot of the shops, because in the beginning, because we all ventured into those shops in the beginning, and kind of looked around, and everything was in the back room. You came in, you sat at the counter, you had a book with freaking 2,000 different flavor combinations and profiles, and you told the guy what you want, and somehow somebody back there was mixing it all together, shaking it, bringing it back out to you. And I think a lot of that fighting was those mom and pop vape
Mm-hmm.
shops that were producing e-liquid in the back room, and there was a couple of them back 8-9 years ago that I walked into where I actually got a glimpse because they left the door open, which made me decide I'm not buying fucking e-liquid here ever again.
Right. And that's a hard pill for most of the industry to swallow. Is that realistically speaking, vape shops should not be able to mix e-liquid on premises. I really don't give a shit if you have a clean room in the back.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's coming from a person who had 9 vape shops with a clean room in the back who
Yeah.
mixed in the back.
Yeah.
I don't think that should be a thing. We have to really be professional about it,
Yeah.
and you have to have the $1 million labs like Jam Monster. You have to do the chemical testing, the nicotine batch testing, every fucking batch, and you have
Yeah.
to store in a temp controlled environment with PPE and all that good shit. Like, we have to be professional.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the thing for me was, I was in an industry, in the fuel industry for a long time. And a lot of the times, when I would deliver to these companies, you would walk in and there was just sheets everywhere. Compliance this, we're compliant
Mm-hmm.
here, we're compliant here. You didn't get that when, that's the first thing I noticed because I was in that industry. So when I went in there, I didn't see anything that said, this is ISO compliance 7, or we have a permit to have nicotine on site, and none of that. It was just,
No.
yeah.
We're the only industry that in like the history of mankind has spent more money on marketing budgets than they have
Yeah,
on
it
compliance
does.
budgets. And that's actually one of my selling points is I'm like, you can market till you're blue in the face, but you're fucked when the FDA comes around. But
Right.
if you're willing to pay me, then we can let you survive and you can market till you're blue in the
Right.
face.
Right. Oh yeah, it was 6 years ago, boy, the heyday. 3 pitchers, $300.
I do miss it. I'm not going to lie. I miss ordering copious amounts of juice online for $25 because it was bottom of the barrel cheap shit, and the flavor sucked balls. But you know what? It kept me off smoking, and it was fun.
IG photographers made a fortune.
Oh yeah, vape models were a thing. You know what I miss the most? I miss cloud comps. As dumb as they
quiet.
were.
You're gonna upset the other half. Be quiet.
No, I don't think you upset the other half. I don't think anyone in the vape arena really had an issue with cloud competition. I think most people found them to be enjoyable and fun. I think the scrutiny over it is that, and I've said it on several different topics that are vape related things, in that. We march to the beat of our drum, going, vaping is tobacco harm reduction. It's getting us off of cigarettes, and we're saving lives. And then there's videos of people like screaming and yelling and blowing cumulus clouds in a vape shop, and cheering and chanting and chanting. And I think from an optics perspective, for someone who doesn't really understand that element of it, they see that as sort of like, well, that's not tobacco harm reduction. I don't see anybody. That just seems like they're showing off and being flamboyant about it, and kind of like rubbing it in everybody's face. So I'm not going to argue over cloud comps. Fine, fuck it, have fun, go blow some big ass clouds and kick somebody's ass. I just think there's a time and place,
Yes.
and really that from an optics perspective didn't really align with the messaging.
Right. Yeah.
You're
I think
absolutely correct.
Yeah. I think they screwed up in the beginning because they tried. I remember they tried to start adding some more advocacy in the U.S. venues for the for the shows, but it just didn't, it didn't work out. It didn't seem to have the groups. They had sections set aside with chairs for people to come. 1 o'clock, this person's going to be here. They're going to be talking, and everybody was over here. It was
Hmm.
where when the when you're setting up a venue, an entertainment thing. Yeah, if you're going to have both of those together, you don't do both at the same fucking time. You don't have the advocacy speaker coming in the same time you're doing the cloud comp, you know, or have the advocacy speaker talking and then have the music blaring to where you can't even hear the guy that's talking. It got to the point where it's like, and I think it Phil that finally, it was the final straw. He was just so mad.
Yep.
Yeah, it was him, wasn't it? I think it was Phil. He just said, "This is stupid. This is just the stupidest thing I've ever done." They tried to implement the advocacy into the show, and all they did was blare the music on the loudspeakers the whole time. Bill and Dimitri were up there trying to talk. Nobody can hear them. Couldn't understand a single damn word they were saying.
There
But
was one convention, the Vapors Carnival, a very short run convention. I think it only went for like 3 shows, but they would shut the booths down for an entire hour, and
smart.
everybody had to turn their music off, and the entire convention had to go to the advocacy stage, and they did no giveaways. They had no vape models up there. It was advocacy.
Yeah.
And they would bring out tablets for you to, sign up for Safada, sign up for Casa, do this, do
Nice,
that.
smart. See, that's smart.
Yeah, that was a huge issue. Oh God, was it ever an issue?
It was bad. And not to say I didn't have fun in the early days at the shows. I had a blast. I mean,
Right.
I did. I'm sure you noticed when they changed it to 21, there was a significant difference in the shows. I know I don't want to say it got classier. It got a little bit classier,
Right, a little
yeah.
bit.
The free stuff was gone, so a lot of the free people weren't showing up for the shows because they weren't throwing mods out. They weren't throwing e-liquid on the venue. You know how remember how they used to have each booth used to get like 15 20 minutes on the main stage, and they would just
Yep.
come up there with boxes and boxes, t-shirts, buttons.
There's still YouTube videos out there that show that.
I have a lot of them. I recorded that.
But the one thing that, even though that the tomfoolery, we'll call it, of the vaping industry, that really incited a sense of community, and that's really integral to a converting smoker. I mean, granted, 62-year-old Ethel who just beat lung cancer and is trying to switch from smoking, walk into a comp, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
But to be able to go in, and maybe Joe, who sits at the counter for 3 hours every single day, can help her learn something that the shop owner can't teach her or is bound by the FDA to not speak on.
Yeah.
And, or even the Clouds Bros can be a very positive thing when utilized correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, the San Diego show and the one in it was in damn place in LA. There were the 2 shows that I went to that I actually saw a really good mix of people. Where I saw the 21-year-olds, I saw the 30s, I saw the 40s, I saw the 50s and 60s walking around, asking questions, having a good time, but in the beginning, I didn't. Be honest, in the beginning, I didn't see the 50-year-old guy, the 60-year-old guy out there because, like you said, they weren't going to go out there and stand in the middle of the thing with their arm up trying to catch, the free bottle of juice. But in the later, like I think 3 or 4 years ago, the one in LA, the big one that they had in LA at that convention center, where was that? Not Alameda. I forget what the name of that place was. But yeah, it was a good crowd. It was a very good crowd, and it was an older crowd, and I liked seeing that. But none of the hardware companies showed up. There was no hardware there. That's the joke story I have. Is I was walking in there. I was supposed to go help out at Baristo's booth. I was supposed to go help those guys in the booth, and the damn guy from Gorilla Bottle stopped me, which made no fucking sense why they were there. It was just empty bottles. And I had to listen to the whole freaking story of how Gorilla Bottles started, how they worked, all that stuff. He wouldn't let me go. I was like, dude, I don't give a shit about your bottles. Oh, any other questions, Tom? You got any other cooking questions? Temperature settings? Rubs.
This week I think I'm gonna do a tri-tip. I'm ordering a bunch of shit off Wild Fork.
Whoa, time out. Did you say tri-tip?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
cut from your part of the foods.
That's what I was gonna say. I was shocked to hear tri-tip from
They are
someone
hard
on the
to
East
find
Coast.
on the East Coast. Once in a great while, I can find them preseason, but that's bullshit. So
They're
like
hard to
companies
find up
like
here,
Wild
too.
Fork, you can order them from, and they come like 5-6 pound tri-tips. I absolutely fucking love tri-tips. Such a
Yeah.
deep, robust beef flavor. Pairs well with almost anything you want to throw at it.
Is it still about $25?
Oh God, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Dude, meat prices are so insane right now because of our lovely government.
Yeah.
Like, I used to be able to buy 2 quality thick pound ribeyes for $20, $25.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
same ones are going for $22.99 a pound now.
Yeah.
Briskets,
and
even just like a
there's-
choice brisket, the shit brisket is over $150, whereas I
Yeah.
used to be able to buy them for $30-$40.
Mhm.
Hey, I'm still shocked. I know we're on food, but I'm
It's
still
horrible.
shocked that people are still paying that high dollar at Costco. Yeah, you're getting a bigger cut of meat at Costco, but dude, I can't see myself spending $200 and something on one piece of meat.
I do it about once a month. I swap between a fat brisket or a nice
Yeah.
prime rib
Whew.
roast, but I'm getting like a 10-pound prime rib roast, bone in,
Yeah.
get all that flavor in, and it's not.
Yeah.
I'll do it once
Just
a
let
month
us
or
know
so.
when you do that. Me and Tim will fly over. We'll sample
Hey,
it. We'll
I tell
sample it
people all the
for
time,
you.
my door is open. You're hungry, you come on in.
We'll sample it. Give you our opinion on it. Oh man, Timmy,
Oh,
are you ready
I'll
for
fly
the
down
news?
for a tri-tip.
I was born ready.
You're because you're a rock star. Say it with me, Tim, the rock star of advocacy.
I'm a dumb.
Dumb.
Tim, I'm not gonna lie. Ever since I did the first show with you guys, I absolutely love watching your double life.
My
Because
double
you have-
life.
You have quiet office life, and then
Yes.
you have that fucking kick-ass roadie life, and I'm just like, man, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, you got to have a little bit of duality in your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I have to be responsible and professional, and then the rest of the time I can just be a total fucking idiot.
Rock
It
star.
reminds me of the movie Rockstar, where he's like that one scene where he's dressed up in the suit and everything,
Yeah.
but he's like really this kick-ass rocker. It just
Hold
makes me
on.
what I think. But
I'm working on on the server at work, and I have to look up every time and go, I'm in a band, okay?
Man.
I'm in a band, okay? Yes, news. I'm ready.
You ready? All
Yeah,
right, let me
yeah,
give you your
yeah.
bumper here. Hold on.
I got to quit moderating. Somebody's got to pick up the slack now.
I got you.
All right, cool.
I got you. I got you.
Woo! See, you know what? That bumper is getting old, folks. In chat, I'm still waiting. I'm still look. Wait.
I will do
Look,
it for you.
look what happens when people don't do bumpers for my segment. Galisi, every time a day goes by with no new fresh bumpers for Tim, a Galisi dies.
Tides.
A Galisi dies. That's
We got three dead
the
already.
kittens are living. Galisis are dying. So I'm tapping my papers. Okay.
Will you be happy?
Well, I don't know. You know what?
I almost clicked Morgan Madison's bumper by accident, so that would have been hilarious.
Yeah, that would have been very pink and CBD related. So, anyway, yeah, we're gonna talk about robots tonight. Everybody like robots? People are all into nerd technology and stuff like that. We're gonna talk about robots. We're not gonna talk about the. Okay, I watched a video today because I'll be honest, I am a bit of a nerd. I am a self-proclaimed nerd, and I'm a little excited that Amazon is coming out with a 15-inch Echo device that is flat panel that you can like mount on the wall like a friggin' picture. So what this means for $250. Because that's what it's going to cost you, unless you wait until like maybe Christmas or Amazon days or whatever, and you might be able to get a good deal.
Prime Day.
Right, is that you don't have to buy that $3,000 Samsung refrigerator with the touch screen in it. That you will be able to get the $250 flat panel Echo device and just mount it on your wall like a little picture. And it's going to have cool little widgets and stuff on. Anyway, I was just mentioning that for people who are into that shit. But Amazon is coming out for $1,000 now.
1,000.
Yes, and I forget the name of it. I forget the name, but they're coming out with a fucking robot. All right, Amazon's got a robot that has basically a screen on it that is supposed to provide some benefit. So I watched the video to see exactly what this robot can do for you, and as best as I can tell, is that it's $1,000 camera that rolls around your house and basically allows you to do like your video calls and lets you see your house remotely. It can be somewhat of a sentry. Like it can hear noises in the house, like glass breaking or whatever, and it can like run around the house and find the source of the sound. Don't buy the robot, okay? I'm just saying, don't buy the $1,000 camera. Even though the cool part about it is it does have like a periscope camera that like goes up. So like if you're unsure that you left the oven on or something like that, you can go in your kitchen and raise the periscope camera and see if the dials are on. That was one of the things they were marketing in the video. That's pretty cool. What would be even cooler is if the thing could go underwater and then you could like freak the hell out of some people at the beach and just have like the little periscope camera pop up while they're swimming. Anyway, and then you can, send video back to your friends. Okay, I know I got off topic.
Imagine this real quick, though.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom.
Go ahead, how soon before yours shows up, Tim? Because I know
Yeah,
you
that's what I was going to say, too.
For
What?
Tom, what you could do is you set it up to say Alexa intruder alert. The lights dim red. Fortunate Son starts playing, and that thing starts screaming like C3PO as the robber comes in your house.
That would be badass. That would be totally badass. But anyway, I'm advising against the $1,000 robot. Go for the $250 flat panel Echo 15-inch.
Well,
that seems far more interesting. Anyway,
Tim,
huh?
I would be worried with that thing in your house. Don't order it because I could see your dog's trying to fuck it. That's all.
No, dude, no. You know what? I have an Osmo D-Bot vacuum, and the dogs don't give a rat's ass about the thing. Like literally, it will run into them. Yeah. Like they will not move, and it will run into them. They just do not care. But we're going to talk about a different kind of robot today, though. We're not going to talk about fun, family-friendly robots. So we're going to talk about these kinds of robots. All right, let's go to that kind of robot. Share. Oh, I got to hit the share button. There it is.
There you go.
Okay, we're going to talk about this fucking robot. Okay, because the similar things like this apparently have been, they've tried to make things like this before in other places, and I still argue against the accuracy in these particular types of devices. So at the University of Pittsburgh, Pitt as they call it in the college football world, they have built basically a vaping robot. This would be that said robot, this big box right there that kind of looks like Salter's computer on his desk right there. It's probably got some LEDs and cool fans in it. But at any rate, researchers at Pitt University, led by Dr. Forgive me if I say this wrong and butcher his name, Kambez Benam, have created a robotic simulator for the lungs and associated systems. This is said Kambez Benan. I don't know. All I can think of is that really crappy B horror movie with the what was the twin thing he kept in the basket. Benign or something was his name. I can't remember you have to go. I'll forget it. I'll shut up. Anyway. Belial, that was his name. Anyone who knows the movie I'm talking about, Belial, it was, you know what I'm talking about.
Tim is officially off his game tonight, dude.
I'm not off my game.
You're upset about that battery. I can tell.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's been a somber day. Anyway, so they developed this robot. The robot can study how different vaping mixtures impact what a person inhales and how it contributes to the vapor's toxicity in the body. So I think essentially it's like an iron lung, is the best I can tell. Yeah. So it can actually pull in vapor and then analyze it on the inhale and on the exhale to see what the toxicity levels of it. Details about the system's design can be viewed in the scientific journal iScience. I know that there's a link for it from the article here, right there. So they published it in iScience this week. I'm sure it probably gives a little more granular detail on exactly how this device apparently works. This is more of a summary article. The idea behind the robot was the idea behind the robot was motivated by the EVALI outbreak that happened a couple years ago. So basically, they built this thing to try to analyze the toxicity of vapor type products and their toxicity levels. So if that was the motivation for it, great if they're analyzing particular things. I don't really necessarily know what they find more predominantly in standard vaping products. I'm not even subscribing to the article that's floating around right now about how some university did a study and found up to 2,000 chemicals in e-liquid or something like that. 5 of which they deemed could possibly be harmful. It's always the could, would, should, might, possibly argument. So the quote from Dr. Benham was, "So when this happened, we thought, okay, what if we try to develop a system that we can actually predict when there's a modification or change into an electronic cigarette to see what happens? Basically, can we get insight into potential toxicity of these products?" So I don't know if they're building this as a I'm going to reveal some information about this robot here in a couple sentences that's going to reveal probably something very, very interesting to everyone. I don't know if they want this as a backup to another outbreak or something like that. Like, we start seeing people end up back in the hospital on ventilators and stuff like that with this effectively some type of pneumonia response to a vape, because as we all know, when that happened, the grander majority of those cases were self-reported cases. So they didn't really reveal that they were vaping THC products. They just, I was vaping, and they probably were. Maybe they did have a puff bar or a Juul or something, but they didn't talk about the fact that they were vaping THC-related products. And as we all know, there's no vitamin E acetate that we're aware of that are in any particular nicotine-flavored vaping product that we're aware of. Because they can't test on humans, the team built a device that would simulate possible impacts of various e-liquid combinations without needing clinical subjects. So the comment really was more like, well, we can't take e-liquid combinations or variations and make changes to them and then test that on a human. Basically, that would just effectively not be viable testing. So they needed a machine to replicate what a human could do. Benham's robot is supported. Here's the sentence. All right, is everybody ready? Can I get a drum roll, please?
I don't have one, but I can give you. I can give you this.
Just give me anything before the sentence. I don't care what it is. Yeah, there you go. Benham's robot is supported by funding from the FDA.
Wow. That's where that money went.
Right. So that's the whole thing. So that kind of will glean a little bit about what results we might get out of this particular machine. I'm just saying, even before we even see testing results. The robotic system is quite complex, regulating and measuring everything from inhalation to exhalation to the humidity present in the body. This is the nutshell. It creates fresh vapor from e-cigarettes diluted with normal air that you would otherwise have inhaled into the lungs, and mimics the rib cage, so the rise and fall of the rib cage. So basically the lungs breathing in and breathing out. And then after those iterations, at the end of the action, sensors can measure what sort of particles have been generated. So I guess they're going to consider the density of the vape. The reason why I question these machines is I've always argued that I don't feel like these machines really know all the different variables around each and every type of vapor and exactly how much they're inhaling, what they're inhaling, if they're using an MTL versus a DTL device, whether they're vaping at 95 or 100 watts, or they're vaping at 25 or 30 watts, in which case you have all these different variables that could inherently impact what results those machines spit out. And I just don't know that these people in particular understand vaping enough to know how everybody's different. You know what I mean? There's just too many styles and variables to vaping.
I can answer that question for you, Tim.
Yeah, go for it.
So the only approved testing device through the National Institute of Health is a CE4 tank with a Vision Spinner battery. And that's exactly where they get all of these bunk formaldehyde bullshit from, because they're putting 80-20 e-liquid into it and burning it as hot as it can go for 10 seconds. And we all know what happens to a clearomizer coil when you go anywhere past 5 seconds.
Right. Yeah, and I think, and we've talked about that before when a lot of those initial studies came out, and they were saying they were finding metals and formaldehyde and all this stuff, and we knew right away that they were pushing those devices beyond their limitations, or the average usage levels that we would use it at. I mean, I don't even really know too many people that even take an inhale for 10 seconds. I mean, maybe 3, maybe 4. It's usually, and some even quicker than that. So, I just question what these systems will be able to push out at the end. So far, this is the name. Here's the name for this fancy robot, and I'm probably going to butcher this too. So far, he's calling the device Humitipa. Humitipa. That is HUMITIPAA. So it's in close competition with Mississippi. Humitipa, human vaping mimetic, meaning mime, real-time particle analyzer. Humitipa. Everyone say it with me. Humitipa.
Humitipa.
Anyhow, my takeaway from that article was funded by the FDA, period, which means it's designed to garner results that would indicate vaping is all but extremely dangerous. I'm not holding my breath, no pun intended, to see the results of the studies. I just want to see what it has to say, because we have no idea what e-liquids, what combinations, what variables they're throwing at it, whether or not the results are being generated based on flavored nicotine vape liquids, or they're testing THC liquids. Are they looking at black market variations versus manufacturer sold products that are over the counter? We don't know. We don't know. I don't know what they're going to use it for. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, welcome robots to the
welcome
robots to the vaping.
Welcome
vaping
to the
industry.
FDA family.
Thank you, robots. All right, so that's that. I was going to talk about the Views NGO, but I knew that was going to be like the first thing out of everybody's mouth on the show tonight, so I let that one go. I punted on that one. So I decided to talk about the federal tobacco tax and how it could be a hazard to state budgets. And I think most of us here already kind of know where this one is going, right? So for those in the chat who might not be aware, and that would be the last thing I'm going to touch on at the end on our advocacy portion. We talked about it last week. I really kind of, unless you have a local flavor ban on tabled that would be worth advocating for. I think the most important thing that we can still voice our opinion about is the nicotine tax that they're getting ready to try to push, which is basically it's on the table now. It's been scribed, and it hasn't gone before Congress for a vote yet on either House side. But at any rate, we want to talk a little bit about the taxation and how it could impact the states independently, and why. Look who wrote this article, everybody. Lindsay Stroud. Lindsay Stroud wrote this article. So federal tobacco tax could prove to be hazardous to state budgets. So let's talk about that for a minute, right? Because I think a lot of us have seen the chart on exactly how they plan on taxing nicotine and how it could inherently impact the vapor world, especially when you're talking about consumers and going out and being able to go buy their 60 milliliter bottle of e-liquid. And we already know that we're kind of dealing with upticks in pricing and stuff like that. And that taxation on top of that could drive that bottle up another $20 to $30 a bottle, effectively making that particular product more heavily taxed and less affordable than cigarettes themselves. But this is a nicotine tax, so it's designed to increase the tax on all nicotine-related products. So that means cigarettes, cigars, cigarillos, smokeless tobaccos, NRTs, I'm going to guess, because they have
Snuff.
nicotine in them as well. I don't know if I lost the group. Hold on one.
Timmy.
I'm back.
We
I
hear you
think
just
I lost
fine,
you
but
guys.
they actually, in the legislation for the tax, they actually exclude all NRTs.
Okay, shocker.
Yeah.
Shocker. But they are going to include TFN, and I believe that
Yes,
was
it does include TFN.
all right. So that's the synthetic nicotine that everybody has been kind of talking about, and how the juice companies will survive because they're going to switch over to the synthetic nicotine so that they won't get pulled off the counters. Pulled off the shelves. So congressional Democrats have proposed doubling the federal cigarette tax to pay for the $3.5 trillion reconciliation package. That's the thing that's all over the news right now, right? So they got the infrastructure budget or whatever, the 1.5 trillion thing that they want to pass in conjunction with the basically the Green New Deal. That's the 3.5 trillion reconciliation package. So to pay for that, because they keep saying we won't have to pay for it, it's going to cost the public zero. Bullshit. Because there's a tax that they want to levy that we're going to have to pay in order to fund it, right? They got to get the money from somewhere. So this could prove hazardous to state budgets because an increase in a federal excise tax could spur smokers to quit or switch to less harmful tobacco alternatives. That is true, but as it stands right now, even if they switch to less harmful tobacco alternatives, i.e. vaping, the vaping doesn't fall under the MSA agreement currently, right? So there's no money coming from the vaping companies to help pay down those MSA bonds that the states have taken out. So I wanted to read a little 2-paragraph section just to educate everybody on exactly the MSA, which it's these 2 paragraphs here. So for anybody that needs a quick education, to understand how states got into the business of securing money from smokers, one must revisit the past. In the mid-1990s, amid growing controversy regarding the tobacco manufacturers, many states began suing tobacco companies for costs associated with smoking-related health issues. As many smokers are low-income persons, these health issues were largely subsidized by taxpayers via public health insurance programs, including Medicaid. In 1994, Mississippi became the first state to sue tobacco companies. By 1998, 40 other states had also sued. In 1997, Mississippi would be the first to settle, while 3 other states, Florida, Texas, and Minnesota, would also settle with their own lawsuits. On November 23, 1998, the 46 remaining states, 5 U.S. territories, and Washington, D.C. entered the landmark Master Settlement Agreement, or Tobacco Master Settlement Agreement. Under the MSA, and similar to previous state settlements, tobacco manufacturers agreed to several sets of provisions, including prohibition of youth-oriented marketing, restrictions on the promotion and sale of tobacco products, and bans on certain tobacco advertisements, including billboards, product placement in media, branded merchandise, free product samples, and most sponsorships. Further, and perhaps the most significant provision of the settlement agreements, tobacco companies would pay the states billions of dollars annually in perpetuity, with payments based on tobacco sales in the respective states. To date, the MSA is the largest civil litigation in U.S. history and dwarfs the recently settled opioid lawsuits. So to carry that forward, so the idea behind the MSA is that based on cigarette sales in each state, the tobacco companies would pay a settlement agreement annually to those states based on their overall tobacco sales. And as we all know, vaping took a huge chunk out of the smoking market, which means less monies were going back to the states. And what is not really said is that the reason why the states rely on that money coming in from the MSA is because the states don't have the money that they need to do other things. So what they do is they go ahead and they take out bonds to get loans effectively to go ahead and do things. And then they want that MSA money to come back in so that they can go ahead and pay down those bonds and therefore avert being defrauding on those bonds, basically paying them off so they don't lapse on them. However, there's another stipulation to all this, in that a portion of that MSA money is supposed to go towards prohibition programs or education programs and things like that, and a very, very, very tiny portion of that money goes towards that. So really, it's not utilized. That money's not utilized for the purpose that it was meant for. So with that said, even while states sued the tobacco companies to make up for cost of treating smoking-related health problems, the states continue to fail to allocate such monies to healthcare programs. In 2021, the states are estimated to receive $26.9 billion attributed to tobacco settlement payments and taxes. Yet in the same year, the states will only spend out of $26.9 billion, the states will only spend $656 million, which is 2.4% of that total, on tobacco control programs. States use the MSA money on other programs such as paying for potholes, tax relief, and even giving back settlement payments to tobacco farmers that have been affected by the drop in prices for their crop. What's even more problematic is that many states are already in debt and on the hook for future MSA payments, and now are receiving fewer MSA payments as smoking rates decline. This behavior started in 2000, and that was only 2 years after the MSA was settled. Yep. So they were already starting to mortgage the future and get money where they couldn't get money from, in hopes that, based on current statistics and the level of smokers that were out there, they were like, fine, we're going to get plenty of money, so we're going to go ahead and leverage and mortgage for the future. And then smoking rates started to come down, and now they're like, oh crap, now we're going to default on these bonds, probably end up having to pay interest on these bonds, and we're not going to be able to pay them down, and now they're on the hook. So now they're banking on future MSA payments to come in to bankroll all this stuff. So just to throw out an example, in 2007, West Virginia sold future MSA payments to bondholders for $911 million, using more than $800 million of that bond to shore up the critically underfunded teachers' retirement system. So that's what they spent $800 million on, of $911 million that they were going to get. That's what they got bonds totaling 911 and spent 800 of it on a underfunded teachers retirement system. And also, for comparison, in 1998, the same year as the MSA, approximately 22.9% of American adults were smokers. Compare that to 2020, smoking rates had dropped more than 32%, reducing that to 15.5% of American adults still smoking. So if they decide to tax smoking, which they're recommending or suggesting now, it could cause people to walk away from smoking even more, in which case the MSA payments will get less and less, and then the states are going to be screaming and crying for money. So you may see some natural resistance to this taxation bill. I don't think that they're going to give any forgiveness to vaping. But you may see some forgiveness, or they may not increase the taxation on cigarettes, or that luxury tax or excise tax, too much. So my takeaway there was the passing of the excise bill may take longer than expected, just due to politicians realizing how much it will hurt their ability to collect on MSA settlements. This is a primary reason why we don't see smoking scoffed at nearly as much as we'd like. Vaping is a threat to the MSA as well. And then finally, we're going to end on some advocacy. And I'm going to talk about it again. This one right here. This is the one where everybody needs to get out there and advocate. So this is basically the tax excise. This is the taxation that they're talking about levying against nicotine. And this really only deals with the vaping side of things. You can look at that cross chart right there, and you can see that even the DIYers are going to be kind of hurting, right? Because most of them buy 100 milligram concentrations, and look at, like, if you want to buy 1,000 mil of 100 milligram nicotine so you can DIY for quite some time, that's just the tax alone.
That's fucking insane.
$5,560 on top of what you're going to spend for that nicotine. So this, you got to fight. If we have anything to stand for at this point, that we have any ability to shout down, it would be this right now. This would probably be one of the more important things that's on a national level. This is not it. This affects everybody. This also affects everybody here who wants to go to a vape shop and buy a 60 ml bottle. Look at that. For a 6 milligram concentration, and you want to buy a 60 ml bottle, that's the tax on that bottle. $20. And you're already spending $20 on the 60 mil.
Yeah.
So you're going to pay 40 now for that 60 mil.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it's an important one. Go to CASAD.org. Go to Get Involved right here, and then go to Nationally. And then once you click there, you can scroll down. It's the first. Yeah. It's the first one right there.
Yep.
Fight a vape tax. And that's it. That's your news, kids. There you are. Your tappity tap tappertons.
Tap them papers.
And we out.
Tap them papers. Hey, on a good note, I was supposed to try to catch it right at that number, but my paranormal DNA 250C has hit 101,537 puffs. Yeah, let's hear it for it. Woo, baby.
Damn.
Let me guess, you don't have a Galeesi in there.
No, not yet. Not currently, no. I was just shocked to see that number. I've been watching it since 95,000. I wanted to catch it right at 100,000 puffs and take a picture of it, but actually it was a little late. But I'm still impressed. I have actually got a mod that lasted that long.
Hey, Matthew, can you answer that question for Stu? Stu asked what about zero nic e-liquids? How will the taxation work on zero nic?
Oh,
It's muted, of course. There wouldn't effectively be a tax on 0 milligram, but like you pointed out, nic shots, I mean, you're even going to be paying almost $15 a nic shot now with the tax, so it's like...
Right. I've never used a nic shot. How much is in the nic shot?
I think in a 3 milliliter or 3 milligram nic shot, there's 1.8 milliliters.
Oh, God.
I don't know. There's nothing on the chart to specific.
So that one nic shot is going to be worth, or it's going to cost more than a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, just the nic shot's going to cost you more than the pack. Yeah, I've never seen them. I know that
there's like one good brand out there sold by James Jarvis, and the rest is absolute garbage.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, so there's actually a market, more than one in company.
Extremely niche market, but yeah, there's like 3 companies that do nic shots. Okay. Sapphire is kind of the biggest, but they're garbage.
Yeah, I know. You know, the guys in the UK had to do it. You know, when they get their ZampleBox. I think ZampleBox was actually shipping out back then the shots, the nic shots for them. I guess I don't know how it was worked. I didn't know how it worked, but yeah, I didn't know if they were getting it locally or So over there, when they still all the e-liquid that they purchase at a shop has no nicotine in it, right?
Well, so they have to do what's called TPD. And under TPD, if you actually want to buy a finished product with nicotine in it, it can only come in 10 milliliter bottles, and you can have up to 4 bottles per package. Yeah. So to circumvent that, and not so much the nic cap, because they have a 20 milligram nic cap over there. Yeah. But they do short fills, because then you can get bigger bottles than 10 milliliters, and it's technically not regulated. But that's going to go away soon with TPD 2.0 they got coming out. Yeah. I mean, they're doing it right over there, so to speak. Their regulations do kind of suck, but they're allowed to have flavors.
Yeah, they're allowed to. Yeah, they don't have any issues. I really don't see. We have a lot of people from the UK.
Oh, is this what you guys were talking about?
Yes,
he's back. He's back. I got him. I got that. I got you.
Oh, people are so stupid.
I'm going to report you first.
Somebody's pissed.
Oh, we got one of them.
Basement.
Hold on. Did you get him?
Yeah, I just got him. I got
him. Got him.
Man, go make a sandwich or something, buddy. Gotta do something.
To answer Canadian Vape's question about what's going on with the Legion and is Tristan done, Tristan once a year needs a much needed mental health break. We were on hiatus for about a year. We're back on hiatus now. We originally came about to fight against dirty labs and unscrupulous individuals within the industry, and for the most part, that's gone away. Everybody uses a co-packer now. 99% of the e-liquid that's purchased is clean. And you don't have a whole lot of shenanigans with the exception of our government. So we are still in active planning for another rally here in the United States. We're looking at rallying at the FDA, but that is extremely touchy because there's no permit structure for that. And we can be arrested for unlawful protesting. So it's a lot of moving parts that we're working on. And Tristan's just taking a little mental health break. That's all. We all kind of have our own thing going on. Sherwin's a real estate agent now, along with his shops. I'm doing the compliance gig full time. Elliot's still recuperating from all the surgeries he's had from his accident and everything, and he's had a lot of complications with that. So we're still here, but we're all just kind of doing our thing.
Yeah, it's funny how they have that set up for that building. But what is considered a protest, though?
So
That's
we can walk on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And we can have signs and bullhorns, but we can't have any fixtures. So we couldn't do a stage with speakers. We couldn't do generators or anything like that. However, if we cross into the street, then it becomes a non-lawful protest.
Right.
And when you have, let's say we even get the same amount as we had at the first rally, 5,500 people.
Right.
It is next to impossible to corral 5,500 people to stay on a singular sidewalk on one of the busiest streets in Silver Springs, Maryland.
Yeah.
And then you got to keep people from being lunatics. I mean, did you guys hear the story about the guy who tried driving his car into the FDA building last week?
Yeah.
Elaborate, please.
He broke through the gate with his car and was headed right towards the headquarters, and they actually got him out of the vehicle and arrested him and everything before anything bad happened. But
I bet you he was on Chantix.
Probably.
Or some other FDA approved drug.
Yeah, I think you can't block the entrance. You can't block anyone's ability to enter the building.
And I mean, I'm not discrediting the Black Lives Matter riots for any reason, but that really changed the landscape for protesting across the United States. That's another reason why we'll never do another Washington, D.C. rally, because, dude, if you even show up with more than 10 people, they got tear gas canisters ready to go for you.
They're ready for you.
Yeah. So it's a very tricky thing to plan out. And with what's going on, we know we're going to hit a big mark of people. So it's got to be very well crafted, well planned.
You got to set up a location to meet, and then just groups of 10. Boom, 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 boom.
We've identified a parking lot at a mall down the street we could go to and meet and be fine, but it's so much stuff going on.
Or just a group, as many as you can handle, that you can keep in control, and just take turns. Each one of you get an hour. Get over there, drive them to hell, start walking away. They think it's over, and then this other group just pops in. Boom.
I mean, the big trick we're thinking is hitting them when they're coming to and going from work.
Yeah.
Because there's one road in and out. And it's like a giant horseshoe.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's a whole different. When you start messing around in front of federal buildings,
people get real touchy.
A little bit.
Yeah, it is touchy. I mean, like here, we have the everyone having to get that new license just to enter a federal building. So if you don't have that new driver's license here in California, you won't be able to go into a federal building. I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me?
I mean, even doing the one in DC the first time, watching the snipers from the rooftop point right at you and watch you all day.
I'm passing on that.
Like, we're sitting there going, wow, that's trippy. Like, they're looking at us through the scope, and if one of us fucks up,
that's when you hold up a brisk. Pop. Hold up one of those juicy brisks up there.
I've brought you gifts.
I got food.
Thank you for your service. Don't shoot me.
All right, kill everybody else and make sure that guy stays alive.
Wouldn't that be the irony of it all? If we had a vape rally somewhere and then all of a sudden we end up on the news because the AG decides to quantify us as domestic terrorists?
They would in a heartbeat, and that's the problem.
The woke crowd.
End up doing 25 to life.
Terroristic vapors.
They're such a nuisance.
I would severely cut into my barbecue and
luscious, flavorless clouds all over the place. Hey, we would be the best smelling protest group ever in the history of protesting.
We actually got a designation for being the cleanest protest group in DC.
Yeah. Yeah. I walked by that rally. They all smelled like strawberry. There's strawberries everywhere, man.
And they're very proficient with their refuse.
Yeah. Well, hey, Matthew, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you coming on.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Talking a little vape.
Do you know
Tim?
Matthew is actually, I think now climbing into that segment of guests that, he's had enough repeat performances that
the Hall of Fame.
I don't know. I think Mr. Orlando and Paul should feel a little bit nervous.
Oh,
I think Matthew's pulling. He's coming. He's
definitely in the top 5.
Tortoise in the hair kind of thing.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying?
The NFL has the Ring of Fire.
I currently hold the record for the amount of guest spots on Vape Radio right now, so I don't mind coming for a second one.
There you go. Hey, multiple trophies, man.
Yeah, we can have the Vapor Ring of Fame. The Vapor Ring of Fame. We'll just have everyone that's been in there.
Exactly.
I know Gruden won't be in there.
No.
No sports on the Vape Show,
You just
John.
said what everybody was thinking about Goodell. I don't understand the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, the rock star of advocacy, Tim, for the report.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tom. Tom, you're really going to do it one of these nights on this show. You're going to show everybody how to properly open a bag of milk and get it set up.
Now I want to see Tom shoot off the arrows in his bedroom. I want to see him set the
in the
target up.
bedroom. In the bedroom.
Not in
Yeah,
here,
show
no.
everybody how to shoot a bow and arrow.
I think you
It's
can
easy.
take his
You grab
phone
it, you pull
outside.
back.
Tom, if you kill it, I'll cook it, baby. Come on.
Yeah. I'll ship it.
I can
Well,
cook it too, man. Remember?
You
There.
could go live with your phone on the show and just shoot a couple arrows for everybody,
I
just
could.
to prove you know how to do it.
I could put it on our Facebook
Shoot
page.
a video, man. Shoot
Yeah.
a All right, guys, we are out of here. Thank you again, Matthew, for your time. It's always great having you on the show. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Tom. And we'll see everybody next Wednesday.
Thanks, chat
at
group.
6
Thanks,
p.m.
everybody.
Thank
Bye,
you,
chat.
chat. Thank you, chat. Always good to see you guys. And we'll see everybody next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Same place, same time, same channel. Right? Peace.
Yes.
Out.
Deuces.